What's the personality type of Elizabeth Olsen? Well, I just wrapped up watching about 9 hours of old clips and interviews to prepare for today's video. Lots of tricky personality patterns. Let's jump right into it.
Well, you seem like a thinker.
I'm an overthinker.
Are you an overthinker?
Yeah, I can't sleep because of it. I live off fear and anxieties and guilt trips.
A bit in her own head. Fear, anxieties. Let's keep going.
Are you able to relax? You're always pretty relaxed. What's a chill Olsen
Meanwhile, inside I'm like, are
you really?
Always.
Really?
Yeah. No, I feel very nervous all the time.
One of the first personality patterns I noticed a lot with Elizabeth Olsen is she's definitely a worrier. And in terms of what she tends to get stressed out or freaked out about sometimes.
A lot of fear.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of what ifs.
What ifs?
Maybe there's a control freak aspect to it, because I like being in control. So I think there's certain things where I'm like, what if this happens? What if all of a sudden my body like spontaneously internally combusts?
Again, this what if worrying. What if this happens? What if this happens?
You know, and I'm in front of all these people. Then they're gonna write a story about me internally combusting in front of all these people.
No.
They're super fun.
I don't like adrenaline rushes.
You're in the Avengers.
Those are really safe environments.
Liking things more safe and controlled.
Are you type A?
Me, yeah.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah. To me, I like feeling creative within structure and form
Yeah.
in a controlled atmosphere. I really love structure, and I really love being creative within structure.
After watching hours and hours of clips, I noticed Elizabeth had a lot of clues pointing towards her being an IJ personality type, introverted, and having a judging preference, liking things a little bit more planned out and structured. IJ personality types, they tend to be sort of warriors. They really like preparing for outside chaos, unexpected possibilities.
I'm very self-critical. Directors that get to know me well know I like all the information.
All the information, lots of gathering.
It's not that I'm a control freak. My mind rests the more information I have about why we're doing a schedule like this, why we have to reshoot something, or, you know, I actually chill out knowing why.
My mind actually rests when I get the background context about what's going on, more specifics and detail about why we're doing certain things.
For comedies, we improvised so much. And then in Wind River, when Taylor Sheridan, our director, asked me to improvise a scene in the movie when I found a dead body, I was like, you. Like, that's not something you improvise. That's something you write and give me the words for, because I'm not a federal agent. It wasn't fun for me.
In this context, I was okay with some improvising, but with this scene that was super important and I don't have enough experience to know how to do that. No, I can't improvise that. You need to give me more clear instructions.
And that kind of prep work, I just feel like you just gotta do. I always feel like if you're doing something that's outside of yourself, make something as habitual as possible.
Make things as habitual as possible. Do them lots of times beforehand so that they feel extremely familiar. Elizabeth Olsen, it turns out she's a great example of a strong introverted sensor. She's someone that really likes specifics and details, and also she's someone that really likes referencing back to things that she knows, things that she's seen before, prepared before, experienced before, learned before. Elizabeth having very strong introverted sensing preferences is the reason why she really likes gathering specifics and details, doing a lot of prep work and practice beforehand so that she can build up more concrete personal experience with things and ultimately feel extra ready for things, which is what, again, IJ personality type she really likes.
The more prepared you are, the more free you are to improvise.
Elizabeth being a strong introverted sensor is also the reason why unknowns, unexpected what ifs and what could be's is something that regularly freaks her out or makes her feel less comfortable, right? For a personality type that really likes anchoring herself on things that she's seen before and experienced before and practiced before. Of course, the opposite of that, unknowns, new unexpected possibilities that are super different from what she's familiar with, would feel sort of stressful sometimes.
And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, I heard you just love to rehearse. And I'm like, yeah, well, they tell us that that's so many hours we should be rehearsing. And he was like, no one does it. It's like, what? I've been doing this for 3 years. No one told me.
What? I thought that was just what I was supposed to do. Did you see how Elizabeth didn't really question things? When she heard this outside expectation, she pretty comfortably took it on, almost like a duty or responsibility, without really pushing back or trying to personalize it a little bit more to herself. If anyone was curious about Elizabeth maybe being a P, perceiving preference personality type, P personality types, you usually see them being less comfortable with outside shoulds and supposed tos. Like, especially over time, you actually usually see them liking to get rid of rules and structure, liking to question outside expectations so they can have more freedom and wiggle room to more do their own thing. And so here, Elizabeth running into this situation really doesn't point to her being a P personality type.
This camera, this camera, this camera. Let the people know what you have going on in your life.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this clip seems simple on the outside, but from a personality type perspective, I actually thought it was super fascinating. Sean here, he gives Elizabeth a moment to promote whatever movie or TV show she's in, but by accident, Elizabeth somehow like misunderstands or something and starts talking about something completely different. And notice here where Elizabeth's brain sort of goes.
Oh, well, I'm in New York City. I'm just enjoying being here and not in Los Angeles, where I usually live. And I just had some hot wings that are kind of living on parts of my face.
Did you see there how Elizabeth starts really calmly thinking back on things and describing her personal experience? Almost like in this journaling way, she starts taking note of different things that happened, different things that stood out to her, what her experience was like with a lot of specifics and details.
But I'm feeling okay. I feel brave, I feel strong, and like I can conquer hot wings.
No argument here.
What Elizabeth just did there, that's actually an amazing example of introverted sensing, or like really captures a core part of how introverted sensing works. If you've ever wondered, why do introverted sensors love like telling stories about what happened, or whenever they're talking about things, there's always so many details and specifics?
I was in Seattle, it was in April, it's Pike something.
Pike Place Market.
Pike Place Market. There's this like little French bistro I wanted to try out, and it was really small and narrow.
Well, one of the reasons why these personality types love sharing all those details and specifics is because all the time when they're doing their normal thing, they love doing exactly what Elizabeth just did there. Taking note of what their experience was like, what stood out to them, what did they learn, what made it a good experience, what made it a bad experience.
Like, I don't know how to watch a movie as a movie. I always think like, oh, that day, this has happened, this is what the weather was like, oh, I remember that.
For them, it's really energizing and meaningful, capturing and appreciating the story of what happened to them, all those details of what their personal experience was like. So when you're listening, even though those details might not seem always super necessary or meaningful to you, something I like keeping in mind that actually personality type stuff really helped me out with is remembering that for them, all those specifics and details are actually them sort of sharing themselves, like something a little more personal than it might seem.
And you were right there, and I felt really weird sitting through a meal not knowing if I should say hi to you or not. And so I just went to a different restaurant.
And so I avoided the whole situation completely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very strange.
But do you like it when people that, like, because you see so many people all the time.
All right, now here, this is some extroverted feeling from Elizabeth Olsen. Her going, I was getting sort of stressed out thinking about what you would like, what was appropriate. You know, I was trying to think about where you were coming from and what your needs would be.
Like, I don't know.
Of course.
You try and be well, I don't know, but really?
But really, that doesn't make sense to me. I was trying to be respectful and considerate of this and considerate of that.
I like feeling like a game player and a team member.
I like group dynamics. I like working with people. I like the ensemble aspect of the job.
Number one on the call sheet, I then think of myself as someone who is a leader, because you are, and that's an important part.
That's my part in the group, my role, something I want to be responsible for.
And I try to make sure everyone feels like they're being taken care of, because we had people who had never done Marvel before, and it's important to make sure that they feel protected and taken care of.
So Elizabeth Olsen, she definitely uses extroverted feeling. She's someone that naturally likes keeping track of social expectations, how other people are feeling, and thinking about how she can contribute to other people feeling more supported or taken care of.
The skill I'm most proud of is being really nurturing to my friends.
That's so
It'd
sweet.
be something along those lines. I'm kind of like a mommy to them. I like taking care of everyone.
I think it's sort of funny because a lot of people think that extroverted feeling, like if you have that as part of your personality type, you're always super poised and put together, like always smiling and knowing how to say exactly the right things. When in reality, Elizabeth Olsen's a great example of how extroverted feeling personality types, they can be super awkward and anxious and quirky, just like any other personality type.
At the end of the day, we just all have to be like normal people and be kind. Like, just be normal is one of my favorite things to say. Like, when people start getting bizarre, like, just be normal. Like, don't be demanding, just be normal. Like, be respectful, have the conversation, and be normal.
If anyone was curious about Elizabeth maybe being an introverted feeler, what she just said, that is a very not FI thing to say. Just be normal. There's expectations of how we should be for other people.
Do you think you're a better actor than her?
Yeah. Sorry.
Something special about Elizabeth's specific personality type is she doesn't just use a lot of extroverted feeling, but actually also uses quite a bit of something called introverted thinking. She has this side of her that likes checking in and going, what actually makes sense, seems reasonable to me when I think about this for myself.
Does that mean you're the coolest person in the world now?
No, I'm very uncool. No, I loved the film, and I thought she was great in it. We shouldn't have to do much.
For Elizabeth, her introverted thinking often shows up as her being like quite honest and opinionated sometimes. She has this side that likes being candid, likes sharing her personal opinions and personal thinking and questioning about things sometimes.
You are a self-proclaimed minimalist.
Huh, okay. Yeah.
Filtering, trying to think about it for herself. Okay.
So is this a jacket a minimalist would wear?
I think so. I don't have any jewelry on. Not a lot of makeup. I think so.
I think so. When I check it against my own personal thinking and reasoning for things, it makes sense to me.
When I was a little girl, I always thought, well, if I'm going to be an actress, I'm going to go by Elizabeth Chase, which is my middle name. And then once I started working, it's like, why? Like, I love my family. Like, I like my name. I love my sisters. Why would I be so ashamed of that?
A really core part of introverted thinking is questioning, because it's always liking to go, I really want to think for myself about this because I don't want to accidentally be doing things for bad reasons. The reason I thought this was a sort of cool clip is because we can actually see Elizabeth T.I. filtering and questioning even her own personal thinking about things, going like, I used to be thinking this, but when I analyzed and nitpicked it a little bit more for myself, I realized those aren't good, accurate reasons for doing things. I really needed to refine and think about it more for myself.
My favorite metaphor or analogy is that we all have this backpack of like loss that we just carry with us, and it's like a certain weight, and then someone dies and then the weight changes, and you don't ever lose that weight, you just figure out how to walk differently through life.
Even though Elizabeth tends to be very clear and specific, she also has this deep side of her that likes sharing analogies and lessons and personal reflections. Another tricky pattern I noticed is she's not always straightforward. When she's talking about things, there are sometimes these tangents that take things in quirky directions.
Before you start filming the movies, what's the thing you get most excited about?
I get most excited by cooking and eating. Okay, runner.
I noticed online there's some people who think that Elizabeth Olsen has strong extroverted intuition, that she's an NP personality type. And while I do think Elizabeth does jump around sometimes and definitely has some quirky, random seeming moments, if you take a closer look at things, her personality patterns are actually very different from NP personality patterns. Some of the reasons why I don't think Elizabeth Olsen is an extroverted intuitive are, well, one, for all the reasons we talked about earlier in today's video, but two, all personality types can be quirky. All personality types can use analogies and metaphors sometimes. All personality types can go on tangents, be random or distracted sometimes when they're talking about things. Contrary to the stereotypes, that is not an exclusively NP personality type thing. The actual main reason why I don't think Elizabeth is an extroverted intuitive personality type is because Elizabeth's tangents, they never popped up because she kept poking around looking for new unexpected connections in the moment, in conversation. Ooh, this is interesting. What you just said, that's making me think of all these new possibilities. Let's explore and spontaneously look around for new connections. That was something Elizabeth didn't really do, and that's a pretty core part of how extroverted intuition works for NP personality types. Instead, when I took a closer look at Elizabeth's unexpected tangents, what I actually kept seeing Elizabeth doing was when she was thinking back on things and recounting her personal experience, she kept getting reminded of other experiences, other details and specifics, background context that she wanted to share and add into the conversation.
I read that you were on sets like from the time you were a toddler.
My parents, my dad, works in real estate, used to own a mortgage company. I mean, ultimately, he's an amateur golfer. If you are in Southern California, you know who my dad is.
Exactly.
We want him to try and qualify for the senior tour. And my mother...
With Elizabeth, she wasn't getting energized by trying to look around all the time for new, interesting connections. But instead with her, it was more like, as I'm talking, it's making me think of other ways I can recount my personal experience even more fully. I'm remembering this thing I saw before, this thing I experienced before, this thing I learned before, which is much more of an introverted sensing SJ personality pattern. And also the reason why you might have noticed Elizabeth's tangents, they're always very detailed, concrete, and specific in a way that you don't usually see with intuitive tangents.
I've talked all this time about anchovies, and I haven't even shown you the anchovies that you have to get. Ortiz, these are the best anchovies. And they're really good with fry bread, with some of that butter. Toast it. You zest a little lemon on it. Maybe the shallots, you don't have to. It's perfect.
Here, do you see how Elizabeth's like, if you combine these anchovies with this bread and this butter and like you toast it in this specific way, it's a really special experience. She's really excited about sharing the details of her personal experience, what she likes, and how you can also have a really amazing experience.
Well, I'm a homebody who likes to travel. So I travel with like a lot of my home. I'll bring like cast iron skillets, my knife block. I had a tool that's called a veggetti.
You bring that with you when you go to another country?
Yes, it gives me joy.
It brings me joy having these specific things with me so I can keep having this specific experience in my kitchen over and over again.
Look at that shelling pea. Look how happy he is. So my soil has been turned.
I'm a gardener, I'm a walker. You just have to basically like trim things at the right time. Things that die, you need to take them away before they infect everything else. And it's just kind of, it's a very calming thing.
Something sweet, and I think sort of underrated about strong introverted sensing personality types is how they like using their past experience and attention to detail to really take care of things around them and recreate meaningful experiences. Like, did you see in those clips how Elizabeth, in this very wholesome way, was like, I know all the little details and specifics of how to take care of things, what makes an experience extra nice and special. So it's actually energizing, meaningful to me, being able to be a part of making experiences better over and over again with lots of consistent care and extra effort. If you think about it, there's a lot of interesting, cool things about that way of looking at things. Anyways, putting all these personality patterns together, an IJ personality type with strong introverted sensing, extroverted feeling, introverted thinking, and some extroverted intuition, the fingerprint match that makes the most sense to me for Elizabeth Olsen is that she is an ISFJ personality type. If you guys want to learn more about your personality type or introverted sensing, I've got a lot of bonus videos on my website linked down below. Otherwise, I think you guys might like this personality analysis video right here. Catch you guys over there. Peace, peace. Bye.